know, be your buddy, but I mean, they're acquaintances. Why don't they just call it acquaintances rather than friends? But I mean, let's face it. What's the point of having many people if no one sees what you post? You're just posting basically
I think that what they're doing, it's a great idea in theory, but when you really get down to the practical side of it, you know, what they put out as far as, you know, and they have these advertisements now on television, you know, encouraging people to get these Facebook accounts. But I think that if people finally realize that what they're getting is not what they think they're getting, they think twice about that.
Yeah, well, have you ever noticed when you're on Facebook, and if you click on something, oh my God, you start getting these things on your emails, you get blown up with, you know, all of a sudden you start seeing ads constantly for what you clicked on, till you click on something else. It's a total nightmare, but they want to make money, and that's how they make their money. When I first got on Facebook, when I started this show back 3 years ago, I would go Facebook Live, and I would have 5,000 people watching me. People ask me, why? Hey, Gary, why don't you go on Facebook Live? And I go, why? I go on there now, it's like less than 100 people, maybe on a good day, and by the next day, it might go up to 200 and something. That's a far cry for 5,000 people.
Yeah, I think that, you know, what they're putting out, especially on their television advertisements and what they actually give to the public are two entirely different things.
It's misleading.
Plus, you ever notice that if you ever have a problem, you can't get a hold of anybody. It's impossible to get a hold of anybody on Facebook.
Well, I know. I mean, yeah. And if somebody, you get flagged for something you didn't do, lots of luck. Maybe 30 days.
Yeah, lots of luck. You can't get a hold of anybody to fix the problem.
Well, I hate to say it. I use two pieces of broadcast, software. One goes out to a company. It feeds it out to the radio stations. And then I use another one that goes to... people can listen live on it and chat, and it feeds out to all the internet, you know, and then, you know, to the different apps and stuff like that. Well, you know, they make you think it's in the United States, but then if you did a lot of research, which took me a couple of days, I found out they're in Germany. So and they say, you know, like if you have a problem, they'll get back with you the next day. Then, by the time they get back, because of the time difference, so they send you email and say, okay, what is your problem? So you say what it is, then you have to wait another 24 hours to get the reply. So you could be off the air with them for 3 or 4 days, going back and forth while it gets resolved. That is not 24/7 service. You get what you pay for nowadays, I guess.
Well, you know, they have those cloud services, too, that... guarantee you all this extra room to put things on, and many of those services, like you said, are through Germany.
Yeah.
I discovered that one day when I was, somebody offered us an exclusive record contract, and found out that the service that they were using was going through Germany, and it was that cloud service. So, yeah, I declined.
Yeah. Well, tonight, I want to talk about UFOs, aliens, alien abductions, and government conspiracies, tying all three of those together. What do you think?
Well, I just happened to have some notes that I took on that nice gentleman with that 3-letter designator agency that he used to work for. And when I got home that night, I remember I wrote all this stuff down because I thought one of these days I'm going to tell somebody about this.
So, first thing off, okay, have you ever saw, Tom, a UFO or anything kind of strange?
Yeah, remember the first time that I came on your show, this was probably, let's see, it's 2020. I'm going to guess this was at least 15 years ago. I had big, beautiful American Shepherd, and we had just finished watching a movie. And it was a warm August night, and I went, I'm going to go for a walk out in the back 40. So I took my dog, and I'm walking into this clearing that I have on my property, and off to my left, and thing was huge. And it was going really fast. It was a fluorescent green. It looked like a layer cake on top of a platter. And this is what it did. It literally went right past the left side of my head, and this thing was really large, and it stopped on the horizon. And I had a major WTF moment, and then it stopped, and I looked at it, and I looked down and out of the corner of my eye, and I could see my dog looking at it, and then this thing zigzagged out of sight. Yeah, that is the most up close and personal thing I've ever had happen with a UFO. Now, I've also looked through those infrared night vision goggles that a friend of mine had over in Eastern Washington, and saw sorts of zip stratosphere, and you're having a major.
Okay, hey Tom,
what's going on up there?
Have you moved around because you're breaking up?
You know what? I should probably call you back on my landline, which I can sure do.
Okay, if you want to call back on the timeline, I mean the landline,
okay.
that would make it a lot
I will
better.
do that right now.
Okay, so you'll be right back.
I'll call you right back.
Okay. That happens sometimes when you have a cell phone, right, James?
Oh, most definitely. And you never know what could happen. Then you mix in the attitude with Skype, and it does happen.
Oh, yeah. I'm sitting here right now. My son came home just before airtime, and he went to a fast food restaurant, and he brought me, like chicken and biscuits and coleslaw and all that stuff. And then he goes, well, here. And he puts it down next to the computers and says, well, you know what? Eat it. Well, how can I sit and eat during the show? So I said, and he got upset. I said, well, go put it in the refrigerator. I'll eat it after the show. But you know what? The smell in my studio smells like fried chicken. And my stomach's going,
Now you want some fried chicken. You know what they say about them snakes? They taste like chicken.
Yeah, chicken from the ground.
Yeah, chicken from the sea.
Yeah, chicken from the sea. Now I don't know. I don't know. Is this people eating, like you were saying, you like frog legs? I don't know. I don't like chicken of the pond either.
You don't? It's pretty good.
Well, then you might go ahead and you should have ate one of those lizards where in Florida were, falling out of the trees and people were selling them as meat. I mean, I don't know.
They're a little tough.
Have you ever tried one? Have you ever tried one?
No, I've never eaten a lizard. I shouldn't say that. I have ate other things. I've ate gator tail. Those are pretty good fried up.
Yeah, I don't know if I'd want to eat gator. Just thinking if you're eating gator, maybe you're eating somebody's leg with it. I don't know.
I've eaten turtle before too. That's pretty good.
Yeah, I can't eat turtles because they look so cute.
Well, the ones I ate, they would have bit your hand off like you were talking about the other day with the stick.
Oh, you mean the snapping turtles? Yeah, they will bite any. They could take a stick and just bite it in half. Put your finger in front of one of those things, you won't even have a finger or a hand.
No, it'll take your finger right off.
Can we hear you? Yeah, we can hear you. Can you hear me?
Okay. Good. Is that better?
That is better.
Much.
Okay, good.
So
let's see. Where were we? You were asking me about UFOs, and I was telling you about looking through night vision goggles at those things zipping around in the sky. So.
Oh yeah.
Anyway, remember you talked to Ronald Reagan, and he talked to you about. You asked him about Star Wars.
Oh yes.
And he talked to you, and he said, "Well, we're concerned about those things out there, or them out there."
I remember that distinctly, because I remember saying to Ronald, I said, now, is Star Wars going to protect us against the Soviet Union? And he went, well, I think it'll protect us from them out there. Yeah, I remember that.
Well, the reason I bring that up is because this gentleman talked to me about a meeting back in March of 1981 at Camp David that ostensibly occurred between then William Casey, the head of the CIA, and Ronald Reagan. And Ronald Reagan had appointed William Casey because he was a personal friend of his, and he wanted to get to the bottom of what was going on with UFOs. He and Nancy knew that they were there. He knew that there was more to it than what he had been told. And so he, because William Casey was a friend of his, appointed him to the CIA so he could get to the bottom of what was really going on. And what happened was Casey gave him a complete briefing in March of 1981 on everything that they knew then, and they know a lot more now, about the races of aliens that are visiting Earth, the ones that we've been in contact with, and the ones that they're extremely concerned about, and there were 5 of them. But one of those races, and I hope I copied this down correctly, I think that they were called tantraloids. And according to Casey, he briefed Reagan that there was a group of aliens that were extremely dangerous. They were insectoid in nature. They had allegedly captured one in the 60s in Canada, and they were capable of acute mental powers. They were also capable of shape-shifting, and they could shape-shift into what people would describe as a Nordic with blonde hair and blue-eyed humanoid. Very, very dangerous. And what they ended up allegedly doing was euthanizing this tantraloid, and they took it down to a museum that's underground. Supposedly, it's a U.S. government alien museum underground in Florida. And when Nixon became president, Jackie Gleason was joking with him. They were out golfing, and he said, "Yeah, well, Dick, why don't you show me some aliens?" And Dick said, "You really want to see some?" And Jackie thought he was kidding. Well, supposedly what happened was Nixon actually took Jackie Gleason to this underground museum and showed him the bodies that we had of various aliens that, like the tantraloid, they had to kill. Then there were others that supposedly were killed in crash sites. But supposedly, according to Gleason's widow, he was never the same after that.
Well, I wonder why, Tom.
Well, yeah, I wonder why. I think I know why, and so do you. But the thing of it is that when Reagan talked about Star Wars, according to what I was told, was a ruse. It was presented to the American public so that they could openly spend money on something that they never intended to use to defend us against Soviet missiles. That was actually supposedly used to take care of a large number of tantraloids in their craft that they suspected were going to come in mass one of these days and ruin everybody's day. Now, supposedly the tantraloids, and we'll have to talk to Mary Joyce about that, but supposedly there are bases that they have that are underground, and they are carnivorous, and that Twilight Zone to serve man, I think that they would probably serve these people or these entities to a T.
I think they could. Again, you have these different groups of people that, think that either these aliens are here to serve man, to help us, keep us from going into World War or Earth changes. Then we have this other group that says, hey, they're not here to be friendly.
Well, I'm wondering about that myself, because I was, from what he told me, there was this original group, they called them Ebens One, and they were the ones that supposedly created Homo sapiens sapiens